Collected Essays of Valerie Lynn Stevens. Fides quaerens intellectum, intellectum quaerens fides. It is oftentimes easier to believe in the devil than it is to believe in God. For such a thing is so easy to fall prey to, when the sentient organs of mortal human experience, by truth's indiscriminate hand, are dealt the first blows of the profane. Yet without first recognition of tragedy, even comedy turns tragic, and then there would be no evident or immediate cause for redeeming ourselves. But perhaps tragedy is overrated and we do not need it as much as we think that we do. Perhaps the true tragedy is in how we continually seem to compulsively create something out of what is essentially nothing of true substance or import. But now, once the acknowledgement has been made, how exactly do we let go of it all in order to better our species? For as anyone beyond a certain age of cognizance is all too sentiently made aware, nothing can truly be held on to, or even let go of for long, in this life of transience. And the very act of surrender requires an inscience of self-sense which we do not even naturally possess, and that probably would not be in our best interests to coddle anyway. In continuum, perhaps, however, it is within human nature to still wonder if it is necessary for life to be so consumed and potentially jeopardized by this existential juggling act which we must perform with such exactitude every day. Yet this is where the metaphysical comes into play, the matter behind mind versus matter, good versus evil, the material versus the intangible, the intellectual versus the intuitive, and last but certainly not least, the self versus others. Although many believe these struggles to be the very meaning of this human life journey itself. And this philosophy indeed does not betray legitimacy, as more than half of a human life is expended upon the pursuit of some higher knowledge as to how this life can best be lived. And indeed, perhaps it would not be hyperbole to state that every moment of human consciousness is wrought with the weight of choice. For no matter how seemingly large or small, the energy expended for the seeming mundane minutiae of this life seems to interfere with the full actualization of our higher selves and faculties. In finale, I suppose the philosophical theme of survival versus thrivance will always play itself out, no matter how we may attempt to ignore it. Yet it cannot be wholly denied that no matter how much we attempt to attribute a factor of nihility to each our own existences or fates, we all nevertheless feel a pull towards something far from arbitrary, nor worthy of our feigned apathy or indifference. For every organism throughout nature possesses an undying instinctual drive towards the pursuit of life over death, or production over destruction. And no matter how melancholic or even ambivalent we may feel, there is always a faint murmur of exultation in life force felt within us, striving to potentiate itself. And even in those moments of humane extreme, such as with suicidal ideation or inclination, there is never a true desire for death, but rather a fear of facing life and what this might further exact from us beyond what we in these moments already feel we have had stolen from us or has been ravaged within us. And indeed, whatever we choose to call this invisible yet dynamic force guiding us all towards our transcendence or our demise, we all feel and sense it. We all sense that there must be a greater purpose to our existence, and not merely because it is comforting to think so. As a matter of discourse, I personally find it much more trying to believe in a God or a higher power behind all things. Life is in truth not so much easier to adopt an atheistic or completely indifferent attitude towards all things, as many deistic skeptics may believe. Life is actually not only more challenging to believe in things like a God who I must honor and revere in word, action, and even intent, but it is also much more complicated as such. Nevertheless, I have always believed such concepts to be inherent within humankind anyway. To clarify, even the self-professed atheist cannot truly and fully disbelieve in the higher spiritual realities, because I believe these things are a part of our very design. I suppose this is in tandem with St. Augustine's ontological or teleological argument for the existence of a higher spiritual being. But in closing, is not humankind's ability to imagine and to conceptualize the very foundation upon which all of our greatest achievements are solidly built? And if we could continue working to synthesize the metaphysical with the so-called practical, or rather the Platonian Weltanschauung with the Aristotelian one, there is no telling what we might achieve.